This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we're back. There we go. What's that shirt say there? Big what?
SGBAL.
Oh,
It's actually my uncle's company. Somebody's gonna be a legend.
Okay,
Somebody got to be a legend.
All right, so what's the company? Because
it's my uncle's company. It's SGBAL. That's the name of the company.
What kind of company? What do they do?
They do a bunch of apparel, like shirts, shirts, hats, wristbands, different things of that element. So he has a son that plays basketball, and his saying is, "Somebody's got to be a legend. Why not you?" And so he makes a lot of apparel in that realm. So
okay, all right, I like it. All right, sounds good. All right, Cam. So let's have a little fun.
Let's do it.
And I was talking to the listeners, and since today is you and Omar, I want to ask you guys, who's the guy that might be the under the radar player that you think is going to make an impact on this team that Dolphin fans are going to take notice? Because like Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead, we're going to hang up on you if you give us that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Challenge us. Why do you think
so what do you consider under the radar? Like top 5 players on each position?
No. You don't have to. No, it doesn't have. There's no ranking to it. It's just a guy that is on this team or was added or traded for whatever. That's on this
new
team.
addition.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be a new addition. Might be a kid that was here last year, and you might think Lynn Bowden Jr. is going to have an impact. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, you might think Alec Ingold is going to be so impactful that we don't talk enough about him. That kind, because we talk about the obvious guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me the guy we don't talk about that you think might make an impact for the Dolphins this year that Dolphin fans are going to really appreciate. Let's put it that way.
That's a very good question here. So
that's my job.
I will say Raheem Mostert, the running back they picked up. We talked a little bit about him, but I don't think people realize how fast the dude is. And we talk so much about Tyreek and Jalen and all these dudes. This dude might be faster than both of them. And I know he's been rehabbing and injury heavy, so you're not going to see him a lot in training camp. You're not going to see him in full speed. So this is a guy that's going to be easy to forget about. Once we start in training camp, we're going to be talking about Chase Edmonds because he's going to be on field a lot. We're going to be talking about Sony Michel. He's on the field a lot. Alec Ingold, who you just mentioned. And Raheem Mostert is going to be a little bit forgotten because I don't think he'll be on the field until August, maybe even closer to September as he rehabs that knee. But once he's full ready to go, I think he's a game changer type player. If he comes back to that same player he was before, which, coming off an injury is an if. But if so, he's a guy who's super familiar with Mike McDaniel's scheme, playing in San Fran. He's not going to have much time to adjust. And when you play that wide zone, the sideline-to-sideline speed is what really hurts defenses. And so he's a guy that I think about that I wouldn't be shocked if halfway through the season we're saying, okay, maybe he's the lead back of this team instead of Chase Edmonds or instead of Sony Michel. And so he's a guy who I think can make a really big impact, maybe under the radar for some. And so he would probably be the name on the offensive side of the ball, but I'll give you one on the defensive side of the ball as well. Andrew Van Ginkel, a guy who's been here before, but we're talking a lot about guys who got big money this offseason, Emmanuel Ogbah, Xavier Howard. Those are guys there. Jalen Phillips, we talked about a lot. I think he's going to have a breakout year 2. And Christian Wilkins has been balling. Raekwon Davis has been balling, right? So just a lot of 5 guys there. We didn't even mention Javon Holland. I think there's an opportunity for Andrew Van Ginkel to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. It's a contract year for him. He's a guy who had a solid year last year, kind of breaking out. And I think he can have an even better year this year as more of a Swiss Army knife type player. I think he's going to get to play outside linebacker a lot more than he even played last year. And so I could see him sneaking up and maybe he becomes a double-digit sack guy for this team and eye-popping numbers and surprises in that way. So I'd probably say Raheem Mostert on offense and Andrew Van Ginkel on defense would be my 2 guys.
Okay. And by the way, these questions are unfair because Cam has not had the opportunity to sit there and watch training camp and preseason.
Right.
And by the end of that, he might have
I might have a
other
different
names.
guy. I have a different guy. And so my
Right.
thing about under the radar is I'm not going to give any of these
but I
undrafted guys attention
Right.
because we haven't got there yet. So
Right.
for me, it's guys who I know for sure are going to make the roster, and then trying to find guys beyond that. So I'm not going to yell out a Quandre White or a Vernon McKinley because they haven't even put pads on in the NFL
Right.
yet. So, but
Exactly.
as far as those guys, those are guys who we know their names, but they're probably going to be under the radar. They're not the top 5 players on their side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I had to mention it. To be fair, these aren't fair questions at this point in time. But we're in the late June. I mean,
right.
it's like
we gotta spice it up, do something different. This is content. I'd rather do this than talk about if Tua can throw the ball 52 yards, 58 yards.
Exactly.
I've had enough of those conversations.
All right, so now here's the next challenge for you. So we got Austin Jackson at right tackle. We got Hunt at right guard. We got Connor Williams at center. We got Eichenberg at left, and we've got Teron Armstead at left tackle. Okay, so we're set, right?
Right.
Who is the lineman that is not starting right now that you think could challenge for a spot, and whose spot is it? By the way, again, another unfair question because you have not seen everybody play. But now that they named their starting 5 at the moment, because it's still at the moment for them too, because once they start hitting, they might change their minds also. So who's the guy that did not get the nod that could be challenging to take? Whose spot is it?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Michael Dieter. This is the guy who was your starting center last year. You bring in Connor Williams and move him over to center. Maybe the experiment goes well, but I've told you on this show before, I am not a fan of moving a guy positions after paying him. He's played left guard for 4 years. Maybe he's a good center, but I feel comfortable with what you know he is, which is a left guard. And so maybe he has a rough training camp. Or maybe Michael Dieter just has a great training camp. You say, hey, maybe I'm just going to slide Connor Williams back over to left guard, insert Michael Dieter back in center, and roll that way. So I think Michael Dieter is the guy who's probably he's a center-only player, but he's probably your 6th offensive lineman, at least on how you view things. And so he could push one of those guys. If he has a better camp than Connor, or if he has a better camp than Liam, then maybe they shift Connor Williams over and insert Michael Dieter in. So I think he has the best shot of winning a job outside of that group.
All right. To play counter to what you just said. And to play devil's advocate and defend what they're doing, because I think this is what they're doing actually. I like what you said, your basic theory of why move a guy that's already established. Now you're paying him and now you're going to move him. You're right in general. But because you know he's a left guard, well, you know what happens if he fails at center. You just move him back to his original position, and he'll be fine and he'll be comfortable there. But because you clearly were not necessarily comfortable with Dieter, clearly you experimented with this. So why not experiment now, find out if it sticks, and if it doesn't, worst case scenario, he goes back to his natural position at left guard, and your left side is solid. And then you continue with your issues at center. And if JC Treader isn't signed then you
JC hey, Treader.
yo, JC. Yo. So that's why I think they might be doing it, because the fallback plan is, well, we'll move him back to his regular position. And that's
so I get that. So I get that idea. And in theory, it makes sense, right? But my problem with that is Connor Williams is still a young player. He's 25 years old. So although he's played 4 years but elsewhere, he's still growing as a player. He would be learning a new scheme. This wide zone scheme is not what they ran in Dallas. And so if your whole thing is in August, if it doesn't work out, we're going to switch him out. Well, now Connor Williams has 2 or 3 weeks to now work at left guard, in between a new left tackle, in between a new center, and learn a new scheme for a different position. And so I think that's a dangerous move in that respect. I have no problem with experimenting because this is the time to experiment, but there is risk. It's not like it doesn't work out. Let's just put him at left guard because he's always played that, everything will be easy peasy and he'll be good. No, when he gets blowed up week 1 and he didn't know his assignment because he's been playing center all off season, then I'm going to know why, because
Right.
you decided late to move him back. So I think there is
Right.
risk. No problem trying it out, but know that if it doesn't work out, you got to go to Michael Dieter. Then all of a sudden you're having a player moving positions. You also have a new player that's got 2 new players essentially in 2 different spots that have to get chemistry with their team. And so,
yeah.
yeah.
But on the flip side of that is, if it does work, you solidified a much more important position at center, and I think
I don't know that center is more. I don't know that center
yeah.
is more important than guard. Maybe in this scheme, but overall, center's been the least important based off of the numbers they're getting paid in the NFL.
If you're
But
telling me,
scheme,
it's a 10 or 15-year veteran quarterback established, I'll let you slide with that. If we're talking about a third-year quarterback, if we're talking about a third-year quarterback, give him a hell of a center. Give him a hell of a center.
I hear you on that, and I'm with you. I think the upside of the move, if it works out, is more than the upside of sticking with Dieter at center, because you know what Dieter is. Dieter's going to be an average to slightly below average. Maybe he trends slightly above average if he gets better, but he's somewhere around that. You know, your best of Dieter is probably the 17th best center in the NFL. And so you know that. Maybe Connor Williams, you unlock something and you get that top 10 center, but it's also possible he's not a starting caliber center in the NFL.
Amen.
And so you have more of a variable range for him than maybe you do Dieter. So I'm okay with the move, but just know there is some risk involved.
Oh, yeah. And remember, the other thing is, when it comes to that whole theory of what's more important, the center or the guard, well, when you I've mentioned this before many times, Sean Payton always made sure that Drew Brees had exceptional centers and guards, always. Because short quarterbacks cannot afford pockets crumbling. And so the middle of that line, when you're Josh Allen or you're Ben Roethlisberger or you're Vinny Testaverde or you're, any big Peyton Manning, okay, the center fails and the guy's coming at you, you can throw over that guy. But Drew Brees or Tua Tagovailoa is going to struggle if your pocket is crumbling. And so that's the other thing to that is also very important for not just a young quarterback, but a short quarterback to also have a stout middle of that line. And I think that's the other thing that they want to try to achieve, that center be the guy that makes sure it does not crumble for Tua, because that's where it starts to open up the passing lanes.
Absolutely.
And that's why you need your center and your 2 guards to hold up, so the passing lanes open up and the shorter quarterback can use the passing lanes in order to find his routes. But if the pocket is crumbling and they're all bunched up against each other and all these big guys are coming at you, the shorter quarterback is having trouble because he has no passing lanes. And now, a lot of this is based on timing. Shorter quarterbacks have to have anticipatory skills. So they're throwing to spots to where they expect the receiver to be. Sometimes they're not even seeing the receiver that they're throwing to, but because they've thrown it 800 times in practice, the timing is right down to a T. That's why the middle of that pocket is so important for short quarterbacks.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you asked every quarterback in the league, I'd gather that most quarterbacks would say they would rather have pressure off the edge than pressure in the middle. And so it's interesting to me that we kind of, and it's because it's a sexier position, but we obsess about edge rushers, because edge rushers get that speed rush off the middle and they get paid more. But the most frustrating for quarterbacks is if you get somebody who's going to be in your grill in the middle all the time and you have to fade to the right or fade to the left, that disrupts them. They can't step up in the pocket if somebody is in their pocket. They can always shift to there's somebody coming off their left side, then we'll just roll everything to the right. Somebody coming off your right side, we'll just roll everything to the left.
That's why that dude with the Rams is so special.
Yep, exactly. So the O-line is going to be very interesting to me. I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going to give them a chance. We're going to see training camp. We're going to see preseason. You're going to see what this coaching staff can do with them in a new scheme. But if you ask me today, the one part of the Dolphins that I'm probably most hesitant about, it would be the O-line.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Now, again, the good thing for the Dolphins in the front office, they were really smart in their approach and said, we need to get people that know what the hell they're doing and how to
Right.
put a line together. And they've got several
They have.
people on
They
that
have.
staff. And so,
They have.
that the one thing they weren't able to form the last couple of years, which is an offensive staff, that is something that Mike McDaniel has been able to excel in, I believe. And that hopefully we'll see hopefully we'll see the results from
And,
bringing together a good group of coaches.
and Big L, we're going to learn the answer to me and you's kind of debate that we've had over the last 6-9 months about whether these draft picks can truly play versus if they were poorly coached and a better
Right.
coaching can get more out of them. Because this is a good coaching staff. So ideally, if Austin Jackson can be a starting caliber player in the NFL, he's going to be able to get it through this coaching staff. If Liam Eichenberg can be a starting caliber player in the NFL, he's going to get it through this coaching staff. Same for, maybe a Michael Dieter or Connor Williams to a extent. We already know Robert Hunt, regardless of coaching staff, has proven he's a starting caliber player.
See, but that's what but this is what I've told people because there's too much effing overreaction over this crap.
Right.
You only have to hit on 2 or 3 of the 5 guys you drafted. That's all.
Yeah. Right.
And really, that's all you need because you signed 2, so you really need to hit on 3 of those guys. You already hit on 1, kind of, right? Because Robert Hunt kind of he was the one guy we weren't sour on at all last year, and we said, hey,
he's another option of your quote unquote breakout player under the radar offensive lineman. I think he has a chance. I think he's already your second best player in your offensive line, and depending on Teron Armstead's health, I wouldn't be shocked if you were saying, hey, Robert Hunt is their best offensive lineman by the end of the year, just based off the caliber player he can be. He can be a Pro Bowl caliber player. Teron Armstead's already there. I think Robert Hunt could be a Pro Bowl caliber player.
It's funny because that's why I laugh at people when they pick on this front office, and it's like, well, that first round with those 3 guys, and then I could just say, well, the first round the following year they hit on all 3 guys. So let me ask you something: if you hit on 50%, and they haven't failed yet, but if Tua hits, you hit on one of those 3, right? And whether Jackson Igbenogany miss that, dude, if you hit on 4 of your 6 first rounders, you're a beast.
Yeah.
You're a beast. If you hit on 50% of your, if you hit on 50% of your first rounders, you're a beast. Because go back and look at the first round every year, maybe 30% hit.
I think it's a little closer to 45, almost 50-50, but still, I think it kind of depends on what you consider hit. I consider a starting caliber player a hit.
Yeah, I'm talking about a first rounder. It's got to be a good player.
If it's a first rounder, I think he's got to be a starting caliber player that's not a liability, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if it gets to 40, bro, to be honest. On the first run, if you look at it every year, there's a lot of misses. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but again, and nobody looks at some of the other picks in that, which was Raekwon, which was Brandon Jones in that draft.
Right.
Was Robert Hunt that year or the year before?
Robert Hunt was in Tua's year, so 2020.
So if you hit on Jones, Raekwon, and Hunt, and if you hit on Tua and miss on Igbenogany and what's it called, Jackson, which maybe you'll hit on, but if you miss on those 2, the draft was a beast. It was awesome.
Well, the jury's still out on Brandon Jones. I don't know that we're for sure that Brandon Jones is.
No, but I like him. I like him
too. I like him too.
I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like him. He's fearless, dude. He will knock your ass out.
Right.
I
really is
like
really
that.
good. I want to see a little bit more out of him as a coverage safety, but as far as a physical presence, as far as a guy who can blitz and create plays, yeah, absolutely. He fits exactly what they want to do in that mold as well.
All right. So what are you just working on? Vacation time right now?
I'm working at the park with my my wife and my daughter.
Nice.
Over here behind me.
There you go.
So
Hello.
play with them. Say hi. They can't hear you. I have my AirPods in, but just hanging with them, man, and doing a little vacation. Got a little cruise planned. Going to Atlanta. Got an anniversary to celebrate. So just doing a lot of hanging the next couple of weeks, and then gearing back up for the season.
All right. Well, you go enjoy the family. We appreciate you taking time with us. We will catch up
Absolutely.
later in the week, my friend. Appreciate you.
All right, absolutely, man. All right, see you, Big O.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go. Cameron Wolfe. The Wolf Pack has been.
This is the Big O Show.